MKO members inside the camp and preventing individuals who wish to leave the horrendous conditions at the camp. Now it seems that Iraqi government has been given control over the group space. It plans to follow through with a 6-point resolution ratified in June 2008, which calls for the group to be expelled. Cooperation of the multinational forces in handling control over the group and working with the ICRC to find basic real solutions for the problem of the presence of the MKO in Iraqi territory. Meanwhile, there are reports that the United States has taken a number of active MKO members to the northern Kurdish region of Iraq. On the second half of tonight's edition of Four Corners, we will examine the role of the MKO in the domestic affairs of Iraq and how the Iraqi government plans to tackle this particular group. And to do that in Geneva, Mr. Mas'ud Khudabande is joining us. He's former high-ranking member of the MKO. And also in Geneva on the phone, Mr. صامتی, former MKO militant, is joining us. I'd like to welcome both our guests to tonight's edition of Four Corners and start with Mr. Khudabande live via satellite. I think, there has been movements in regard to the MKO recently, as you well know. Has the Iraqi government been able to effectively wield out control of this group?
Good evening. Could you repeat the question?
Yes, considering the fact that there has been recent developments in regard to MKO recently, do you think the Iraqi government has been able to effectively wield out control from this particular group?
Yes, I think so. Let me explain it. From a few months ago, I was in Baghdad in February 2008. I was invited there for the specific reason that the Americans were starting to dismantling their own camp and handing the Mujahideen to the Iraqi government. That followed up with my visit to Erbil and the regional Kurdish government, and then 2 weeks ago we had a symposium in Paris. Last week we were in European Union, and today we are in Geneva following exactly the same situation. The Iraqi government is not doing anything less or more than what is expected from it. Actually, the Iraqi government is at least the human rights minister is very angry with the Western media, the way that they have been portraying them, that look, if the Iraqis come and the Americans go, something wrong is going to happen, which is not true. They have been taking over from Americans. They are doing it as good, if not better, to secure the place. But there is points with the Mujahideen in Iraq that has got to be addressed. You said about 300 that they have left, which some people, they say there has been sort of under the blind eye of Americans. But whatever the situation, these are the people that are wanted by the Iraqi government, so they have to go to court. But there is other issues there as well. The camp itself has got to be accessed by the Iraqi police. At the end of the day, the uniform has to come out. They have to act as civilians. And these are the things that the Iraqi government has been asking for a long time ago. Whether they do it now or whether they do it in 6 months' time, this is a legitimate demand that they have. They have to have control over their country.
Mr. صامتی, do you think that the Iraqi government is going to take now steps to tackle the remaining issues related to the MKO?
Actually, I want to emphasize on what Mr. Khudabande said. I believe that Iraqi government is doing so well dealing with this group. And since we, as Najat society speaking, are representative of their families, I mean the MKO families, what we really want, and I take the chance to repeat it over here, is that we want the family visits to be held out of control and monitoring of Mujahideen's house. Because so far, whatever meetings have been held was like less than hour meetings, and they were under total control by the Mujahideen. So looking at it in a humanitarian issue, it has been a very tough situation for those parents who live in Iran or abroad and have not been able to contact their children in Iraq, in Ashraf military base, for let's say some of them over 20 years now. This is our concern right now, and
okay.
I'm sure that...
Let me, Mr. صامتی, we had former members of the MKO recently on Four Corners as well when discussing the issue, but until that there is a Camp Ashraf that exists with MKO elements, do you think that there is a possibility for what you are requesting? Because what those former MKO members were saying was that, ties have to be completely cut and severed when it comes to family members. So this can't really happen if Camp Ashraf exists.
Well, that's a very good question, or let's say that's a very good issue to talk about. I say that until the time that the line of command from above, from the leaders of the cult, still exists, members of Mujahideen are not able to make their own decisions or have their individuality. So whether or not the Camp Ashraf exists, first the command line must be cut. This group has a very poor record of violation of human rights. Talking about, let's say, the reports by Human Rights Watch or other international bodies who are informed about what is really going on in the military base. And so whether or not the base still exists, it's the command line that is making decisions for individuals.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Khudabanda, the UNHCR has said that it can't help until Ashraf residents, quote-unquote, agree to lay down arms and uniforms and denounce armed struggle, which they have not done so far. Will the MKO basically disband now that Ashraf is on the verge of closing down, or do you think that